Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Brand Performance Podcast. We're on our third episode and wanted to just go over some running today. So we're here with Coach Daniel Sorenson. He is the running coach for Hybrid House, which is the athletic performance training center that we run and work for in Signal Hill. And he specifically runs our running program and our run club for all the athletes out there that want to get better at running, want to improve their running, want to get started running. And so I wanted to invite him on here today. He's also the head coach for the cross country team at Lakewood High School and the assistant coach of the track and field team at Lakewood High School. So welcome, Daniel. Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. Really appreciate being able to come on here and explain any experience that I've had in my background in the sport. So
awesome. So Daniel and I were just talking, and one of the main reasons why I reached out to him to do this podcast was right now with everything going on, I'm getting a lot of people coming to me saying they want to run. And I'm sure it's because people recognize that it's a stress relief. People recognize that it's something we can do right now with COVID going on. And, you know, we've got protests going on. We're at a very interesting time in the world right now. And I can tell, you know, I've been a coach for a long time, and I can tell right now people want to get out and run. I think they want it for an escape. They want it for stress relief. They want to try something new. A lot of us have more time on our hands. Some of us aren't working. And there's this desire and this interest in running. So I see it, and the messages are coming through. So Daniel, one thing I want to mention to you, and that I want you to speak about, your input or your advice, is a lot of these people are reaching out, and then they're saying things, and then I'm realizing running is this big scary thing. So they don't want to do it alone. So they're reaching out about Run Club. They want to run, but then it's when we get deeper into the dialogue, and I tell them, you know, how to access the Run Club, and, you know, then is it all levels? I'm a beginner. I'm very nervous. I'm intimidated. Let me go run first before I go to Run Club. Let me get in better shape before I go to Run Club. And I'm noticing this really kind of grand fear that surrounds people in running. And, you know, you have both. You teach adults at Hybrid, and then you teach high school kids at Lakewood. But what do you think this fear around running is? And how do you help people overcome it so that they truly fall in love with the sport?
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are coming into the sport because it is something that anybody can do right now. You look at everything is closed. Grocery stores are closing now. You look at, you can't even go to a trail anymore. So just being able to get out and see people right now, I think is huge interaction with people, whether they're out walking or if they're walking their dog, taking their kids on their bikes. I think it's just a huge interaction between just being able to wave to somebody, say hi. I think that's why a lot of people are reaching out, is just because they want some type of interaction with people rather than say like our Zoom meetings or anything like that. They're literally staring at a screen. So I think a lot of people just want that interaction with people, which is why people reach out for these. But along the sides of people being scared about running, I think people think that running is strictly a sport rather than taking it as recreational. I mean, you look at, they have 5Ks, local 5Ks and 10Ks and marathons and stuff like that, that a lot of people are scared to commit to. So they go up front and then they pay their registration fee, and then they forget to train for it, and then they get an email saying, oh, you have 2 weeks, we'll see you in 2 weeks, you can come pick up your bib or whatever. So I think the big thing with people is trying to be consistent just with anything that you do. For running, I know the first 2 weeks are really difficult, just because your body is not used to maintaining, whether you're not used to getting out and walking 3 days a week or even being able to run for more than 30 minutes. So if you're more consistent with your running, just like if you're a lifter, you obviously need to go up and weight, even if you're scared, to go from, saying, curling 10 pounds to 25 pounds. You just have to be able to incorporate the change that's going to happen, and you have to be consistent with it. So if you want to lift heavier, then obviously you need to go up in weight slowly and build up. Just the same thing in running. You have to slowly build up. So if you're never ran before, maybe you go for a 20-minute run 3 days a week. And then the more you do it, the more you'll say, well, I'm going to do 20 minutes 5 days a week now. Or I'm going to throw in a 40-minute run this week. So just consistency is really big on anybody that's either in the sport or trying to get better at the sport.
Yeah, that makes sense. I often tell people when they come to me for training or they come to the house, to Hybrid House, to be a new member, I often say, hey, the main thing we need from you is consistency. We need you to show up. And although it might be hard and although it might be a little bit scary, we're here to help with that, but we need you to show up consistently. And I think you bring up another good point, which is understanding that the beginning is going to be challenging. You said 20 days. That's interesting because I always say 21. I always say like 3 weeks, right? You're creating a new habit. It's going to feel hard. And then after about that 20-day or that three-week mark, I do think there's like a hump you get over. And now it's like you're just going through the motions. And it's a little less scary. Like you said, it's like the weightlifter that is constantly curling 10s that eventually has to go to 12s to 15s to 20s. The same in running, and you have to be consistent and you have to not be scared to bump the weight. Similar in running. So I think that's a good point. You show up and you just tell yourself, okay, I just need to be consistent and I just need to go. And then understanding that in that you're going to get better, but it really takes the consistency. Otherwise you're always going to feel like a new runner and it's always going to feel scary,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that that's great advice for somebody to get started. Now, you've coached kids a lot. So high school students, you've coached adults. Now at Hybrid House, you're really coaching adults. You're coaching everybody from 30-year-olds to, I mean, we have clients that are in their early 70s. So you've got this range of like older adults that are trying to really get back in the sport of running, whether they're an obstacle course racer, a triathlete, or, that's a lot of who we see at our gym. What do you think they need the most? Like what do you focus on in the sport of running for athletes that aren't as young as our high school students? Is it the same? Is it different? And what kind of advice do you give? Because you are always out there talking and encouraging before and after class. I imagine there's also things that you're saying. So what are your workout go-tos? And then what are things that you tell people to help them get better?
I mean, I think your big thing with getting into the sport is knowing what level you are. Don't go into any program, whether it's weightlifting or even a job. You want to make sure that you go in knowing where you are, not where you want to be in 2 months or by the time the end of the year. You need to build yourself up. So if you know you're not at the professional level, or even in Spartan, if you're not at the elite level, like you need to know you need to build up to that. So like in running, if you're just starting, what I do is I start out with minutes rather than people saying, well, I have to go for 4 miles.
Right.
And the reason for that is because you want your body to be able to withstand not always looking at your watch or your phone or whatever GPS saying, oh, I need to make it to this mileage, rather than saying, well, today is just not my day to get in this type of mileage. At least you're still out consistently putting in the same amount of time. And then gradually over time, then you can either add time or you can switch it to mileage. So with my high school kids, I do 2 weeks of just timed running. So I'm not worried about pace or anything, just working on breathing, just going through the motions, letting people adapt to what it feels like to be a runner. And then the more you do it, the more you adapt to, okay, this is what this pace normally feels like. This is how my breathing normally feels. So the more you adapt to that, just like anything in life, whether you're not used to getting up at 6 a.m. to go to the gym or getting up at 7 to go to work, it's just a routine that your body will go through. And the more that you do it, the more your body will adapt to it.
I love that. Adaptation. Yeah. So treating it like anything else, like you said, like getting up at 6 in the morning, there's a phase to it, right? It's really hard and then it's a little bit easier and then it's just what you do every day. So it sounds,
Yeah.
because running is form specific, you're right. It's like work on the breathing, get used to your pace, learn what it feels like to be a runner, and then you can start to hone in on the skills and getting faster. And so it sounds like there's really a process there to running and that you just don't throw people in. Like you start
Yeah.
somewhere. Um, so if I came to you, let's say I showed up to 7 a.m. Run Club this Thursday. I was like, hey, Daniel, I reached out to Timmy. I'm really nervous. I understand that I can go out and run, but I really feel like I needed more of a coach, but I'm really scared. What would you say to me? What advice would you give to me? Like, you can tell I walk up, I'm nervous, but you can,
Yeah.
I've set my alarm. I've showed up early. I've been vulnerable to you. What would you say to me?
I mean, the hardest part is showing up. In anything that you do, everybody says, oh yeah, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. But you can keep saying that over and over in your head until you show up and actually do it. It's still just going through your head. So showing up is huge. And then when you get there, whatever our workout is or anything like that, it's always can be modified. So like this past Thursday, we did like a like tempo type of workout. So we go from a faster pace to a slower pace, and everybody has a different faster pace and a different slower pace. So my big thing with when we do that is to help with your VO2, so to help with your breathing. So we just do a certain time to set everybody, so everybody runs the same amount of time, and then your distance will be equivalent to that amount of time. So that way, whenever we do that amount of time again, you know how far you've gone, and what type of workouts we've done. So in this past Thursday, we did a 200-meter on with a 100-meter recovery, and then we did a 400 on with a 100-meter recovery. So my thing with the recovery was I said, you're more than welcome to jog that 100, or you're more than welcome to walk. That is completely up to you as an individual. My big thing is I want to see a change in pace from your recovery to your actual run.
Right.
So that will help you get your normal runs faster and being able to maintain, saying, if you've only been able to run a mile without walking. So the more you do that, the more your body will be more comfortable with sustaining a regular pace.
Right. So it's not really about, are you a runner? Are you a good runner? Are you a bad runner? That doesn't really make sense. It sounds like it's all relative. So if you show up, it's all about you. So all you care about is there a change of pace from the high tempo to the, from the fast to the slow? Are you there? Did you show up? And it sounds like from there, every person is individual. So okay, I have 10 people in front of me. We're going for time. So I'm not telling you how far to go in 2 minutes, because then that might be really scary if I feel like I'm slow and you're telling me I have to get to that pole in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's all these elite runners and I know they're going to get there, but I'm not. So you've almost set me up for failure. You don't do that. You say, hey, 2 minutes on, 1 minute recovery. Whatever that means to you as an individual runner, it's still going to be the same for everybody because everybody's hard and everybody's kind of I'm backing off is different. But if it feels hard and then easy to you, then you're in the right place. So you just kind of guide them for what the pace should feel like. So it really doesn't matter, am I slow, am I fast? And really, again, those are kind of relative, like that. What does that mean in the sport of running?
Yeah.
If you're just out there to run and get better, what does it mean to be slow? Are you comparing yourself to you, or are you comparing yourself to Daniel, right? So yeah, you might feel slow if you're not a 5-minute miler, but but for you, if there's a change of pace, if you're following the workout and the theme, then that's really what matters.
Yeah. And I mean, that goes without saying, like, if you say you're a triathlete, like, of course you might feel better now than when you would in a race because you have a swim and a bike in you already. So trying to compare those would be like something a little bit different because your body would be more fatigued. But if you look at somebody that, say, they're going through a CrossFit competition and they do AMRAPs, they have to be able to sustain a certain amount of time, whether whether it is running or if it's lifting, you still need your body to know what that amount of time feels like. So whether, say you're training for a 5K and you're saying, my goal is to run this in 40 minutes. So you want to build up and you want your body to be able to go through the motions of being fatigued for 40 minutes. So I think with anything you do, like you want to be able to train your body to know what it feels like at that, like for that duration of time.
So do you believe that, okay, so running is one of those sports, okay, so weightlifting, you probably have to go to the gym. You probably don't have the stuff at home. Maybe some people do. Running, you can throw on a pair of shoes and you can head out your door. And we know that so many people do that, right? And then I think there's a lot of people that get to a point where they go, man, I thought I could just go run. I thought I would just get better. I thought I could just up my mileage, but then there's injury or they're not getting faster, or they're not getting better. So there really is a need for a coach in running. And why do you think that is? Like, where do you think, you know, when I first became a runner, I joined a run club and I got a coach. Like I felt like it wasn't something I could just go do, but I know that it is an easy thing to, again, throw on the shoes and head out the door. So why do runners need clubs and coaches? Like, why is that so important in the sport of running?
I really think it's a mental thing. I mean, you look at anybody, like, even if you don't feel good, like it's the fact that you're out there and you know that there's somebody there that's watching you, whether it's a random person that's on a walk that you're crossing paths. I think it's just that interaction of saying, oh, I have a scheduled time with somebody. They know that I'm out there. They know what I'm doing, rather than you getting up and going out the door and just saying, oh, I'm just going to put on some mileage. You're holding yourself accountable for having somebody there. So even if you have, like, you get a group together and say we're going for a hike, but you have two people that want to go for a run, the fact that you guys started at the same time, you're like, well, I know these people are out there with me. I know that somebody is watching, whether they're there or not, you know that they're there.
Right.
So I think that interaction with knowing that somebody is there to hold you accountable other than yourself, you'll be like, well, I can do it tomorrow. With somebody there, I think it's a little bit more mental. You're like, okay, well, I have to push a little more, or today's not my day, but I need to go through the motions. And so I think it's a lot of mental when it comes to when you put on a lot of miles or you have a day where your legs are extremely heavy.
You know, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Even for me as a coach and somebody who has been running since probably middle school. I used to get up and run before school. Like it's almost like breathing for me.
Yeah.
I think you talking about accountability and the mental piece of it is huge, because as much as I love it, right? And I think you can share in that. We love running. We've been doing it for a long time. We've been runners a long time. Still, to meet people and have the accountability of making sure you get the run in, I think it's true. I think when you have a meeting and you have to be somewhere, you're likely to not skip out on that run. Yeah. And then number two, the mental piece of it, of having to run in a certain way. Because I know for me, accountability, number one, I've even booked with you and Todd every week to say, hey, Wednesdays, I'm going to meet you guys, because right now with everything going on, I have some weeks where I go out and I head out for a run, and some days where I'm really good and I'm super inconsistent because of exactly what you're saying. There's no accountability. So I started a run club on Tuesdays. I meet with you guys on Wednesdays. I'm like, there's 2 days, because I have a time, I have people I'm meeting, and I have a run club. Yeah. There's 2 days I know every week I'm not going to miss my running. So because of that accountability. And then the second part of the mental part of it, I definitely struggle with, and I think a lot of people struggle with, is I can go out and get the mileage. I can go out for a 4 mile, 6 mile run. For me, that's easy. If I need to get in 12 miles, that's harder for me. And I think if I have somebody to do it with me, I'm not going to skip out and go, well, 9's good enough. 10 miles is good enough. Like, I don't need the other 2. And then also pace. I might go out and run and just run as fast as I want, and then get home and be like, well, I got 6 miles in. Yeah, but were they, I always call it like good reps, bad reps, but were they a good 6 miles? Like, Timmy, you want to get faster? Well, yeah, I want to get faster. So how fast did you run your 6 miles? Did you, at some point, right, you start them off with minutes, and then at some point it's, well, what's your pace? How fast are you running? So I think too, the accountability of pace and push in running is huge, because it's much easier for me to head out for a run and get miles in than it is for me to go 2 minutes hard, 1 minute easy, 2 minutes hard, 1 minute easy. If I go to run club and you tell me to do that, I'm doing it. It's a class, it's structured. But if I know I should do that, and when I go out for my 4 mile run, it's just so hard on your own to be like 2 minutes fast, 2 minutes easy. It makes it harder. And, of course, some people are better than that than others, but I think you're right. I think in talking about the big picture and the majority of people, the accountability helps, and the meeting with somebody like a coach helps to make sure that you're running the way that you should be, tempo, pace, distance, and that you're getting it in the way that you should be, rather than just going for a casual run.
Yeah.
I
think you look at like
hold on, Daniel, you are breaking up. Let's see if we can get him back. Daniel, you there? Oh no. Daniel, can you hear me? All right, guys, I think we've lost Daniel.
Super heavy.
You came back. Okay, Daniel, hold on. Daniel, can you hear me okay?
I think what would happen, it depends on how consistent you really. Yes, I can. Yep. You hear me? You there?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, we're breaking up a little bit. So just repeat what you just said. You broke up. We lost you for about a minute. Repeat what you just said.
Yeah. You there still?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Your face isn't popping up, but we can hear you.
So with like running, I think you need to work on making sure that you have a recovery run, you have an easy run, you have a long run, a workout. So when you go out for a run, you need to mentally prepare, whether you go out and say, yes, this is a recovery run, and say you go out and you feel really good and you decide to push it. Now it's not a recovery run. Or if you go for a long run and you say, well, I felt really good at mile 9, so I'm just going to end there. Or if you did a loop and came back and you were already at where you started and you're like, well, I was supposed to do 12, but since I'm already back, I need to go there. But if you mentally go in saying, this is an easy day, this is a recovery day, this is a workout day, mentally preparing for that is huge. Just like going into a race knowing, oh, I'm going to do 30 obstacles and a 10K. Like mentally preparing is huge in anything that you do. You need to know that you need what you're going to be capable of for that day. Even if you don't feel great, like you need to know that that's what I'm going to do today because that's what's on my schedule. And then at the same time, if like what we're going through right now, if like you get up and you warm up and you say today is just not my day, it's easy to adapt and say, well, today's going to be my recovery day and then tomorrow I will make my workout. With nothing going on right now and nothing being open, we technically can adjust our training to what our body is. So if our body is not feeling like we need to go high mileage or we need to go fast, then you just need to listen to your body right now. Because if you get injured, we're not training for anything, then why are you getting injured? So I think a big thing is listening to your body to see what it's telling you. And obviously a proper warm-up is huge in anything that you do. I think me personally, getting older, my warm-up does take me a little bit longer compared to when I was in college, when I could just go out for a mile and I would be warm. So I think you just have to listen to your body, see how it feels, whether you're waiting for your breathing to be controlled to start your workout or for your legs to be warmed out and less fatigued. I think you just need to listen to your body to see how it feels, whether you're doing a workout, a long run, or a recovery run.
Yeah, I like that. It sounds like, you're saying have a schedule, like have a plan. And I always say that. I always say have a goal and have a map to get there. And the map to get there is your training plan. And it sounds like you have the same thing with running. Have a goal, but have a plan to get there. Monday is tempo, Tuesday is recovery, Wednesday is endurance. And then I also like what you said, which I find very true in my training and something I've learned as I've gotten older. You really said two things. You said longer warm up, which I totally agree. And I always tell everybody, do not skip out on your warm up. It's so important. You don't just jump into your run. You don't just jump into your sprints. You know, again, this is where coaching comes in. We've both had coaching and been coaches. So a lot of people don't know that, but I think you're right. The warm up is so important. And as we get older, I agree. I feel like my warm up has to be longer, and it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing a short race, my warm up might not have to be as long, but if I'm doing a long race, I do have to have that longer warm up. And then I think the second part of what you said, which is listen to your body. So yes, have a goal, have a plan to get to that goal. But if you go out, especially with everything we're dealing with right now, and your body feels weighed down with all the stress and everything going on in the world, and you can tell that 9 miles is going to hurt and you could possibly injure yourself, you change it. You make the call to go, you know what, I'm going to walk today, or today's going to be a recovery 4-mile run. And I know it's set for Thursday, but I know I need it today. And then on Thursday, I'm going to swap it out and I'm going to try my 9 mile. So I think you hit on really important things, which is having that goal, having that plan, but also adjusting based on how you feel and how your body feels to prevent injury. Because once we're injured, we can't run. And, you know, and that doesn't serve us.
Yeah. I mean, you can also look at, say you have a long run and say you're planning to do 10 miles and you say you get to mile 6 and say my body's not feeling that. At the same time, there's also cross training. You can bike, you can swim, you can do stairs, you can just do something to imitate it. So you could say you were doing 10 miles and your average pace was 8 minutes. So just add those 4 mile time wise, so that you're still getting that amount of time for the amount of miles.
Right. So you just adjust. Yeah, I mean, you know what, that's interesting too, because I remember running all through, for me, my personal journey, running all through elementary school, middle school. I did cross country, track, super competitive. I mean, I think that's very true. You know, that's very true in terms of adjusting. And, you know, that reminds me of just my longevity of running and how true that is.
Yeah. I mean, a big thing about also coaching is having a class like that. A lot of people feed off competitiveness. So coming to a class, like a lot of people like the interaction of catching somebody or running with somebody or having to like stay with somebody for a certain amount of time. Like they feed off that competitive nature that everybody tries to have, whether it's in cycling or swimming or trying to get promoted in a job or anything or go up in weight. I think that competitive nature is in a lot of people. So they like the interaction with people. So
yeah, I think so. And I think, you know, again, going back to my world of running, one of the biggest lessons I learned, and one of my biggest changes in like the most progress as a runner, was the introduction of cross training. And I think, you know, well, two things, again, that you bring up: the competitive nature of kind of competing with ourselves, but also, yeah, if you're in a group and you have that person that's kind of maybe a little bit faster than you, you can aim to kind of catch them, especially when you have a really supportive, welcoming group. I do think that's very true, and it helps push you rather than just you and the clock all the time. It's nice to have that interaction, like you said. And then the cross training, I think that's true too. You know, maybe today my legs don't have it in me to run, and maybe they feel like they've had a lot of impact. I mean, it is a higher impact sport. Well, when was the last time you cross trained and did your squats and your lunges? And I know for me, when I introduced 2 to 3 days of cross training, I completely changed as a runner. I was injured less. I was faster. I felt more powerful. And I think that a lot of runners think, oh, if I'm going to run or, you know, for me or for training or because I have a 10K coming up, you know, as you mentioned, all the local races, I just need to run. Well, no, actually, that's why it's also helpful to get, you know, we we feel like we can just go out and run. Like, oh, it's an easy thing. I don't need a coach for running. I need a coach for CrossFit. I need a coach for triathlon training. I don't need a coach for running. Well, no, because there is a way, there is a plan that needs to be in place. There are different things that you have to do in running, and then the cross training part of it. You know, you don't want to just go out and run every day. You don't want to just go from 3 miles one week to 6 the next week because you felt good. And I think that's where the community and the culture also gets a little bit of a bad rap of being, you know, an easy way to injure yourself because, well, yeah, it's an easy thing to just go out and do. So a lot of people don't get the right training, and then they do get hurt. And then it's like, oh, well, running so hard on the body. Well, you can't just go do it. You really need to get you really need to get help with it, you know?
Yeah. What's funny is there was a group a couple days ago that was at the park that I overheard them talking about runners, and they were like, yeah, I don't like to run because you always get injured doing it. So I went over there and talked to them, and I was like, well, how often do you switch your shoes out? It's like, well, what kind of shoes do you really have for running? Said you look at cyclists, they have special shoes. You look at weightlifters, they have special shoes. Everybody thinks if they go to a Big Five and it says on the side of it, it says running, they assume it's running. But just because something says it doesn't make it what it is. So I was like, well, you look at any sport you do, whether it's cycling, you're sitting on a seat, so you have to strengthen your lower back. It's not just all in your legs and your arms pumping the bike up the hill. Like, you have to strengthen it. So I was like, well, if you're not using the right equipment, then you're more likely to get injured in anything that you do. So it's the same thing with running. If you have bad equipment for your shoes, or if you have the wrong socks on, or if you have a sports bra that's chafing, or shorts that are wrong, like, it's all in your equipment, whether you get injured or not, and the process of which you go about it. So if you saying, oh, I'm gonna start running today and it's my first day, I feel like I'm gonna go for a 12 miler. Of course, the next day you're gonna feel like your body just went through hell, because obviously you're going from nothing to straight to the top. So, I mean, equipment is huge, making sure that your body is adapting to it, and being in the correct shoe is huge. There are trail shoes, there are road shoes, there are lightweight trainers, there are spikes. I mean, there's just as many shoes as there is bikes for triathlons, or they have different weightlifting shoes. So, I mean, it's just something that a lot of people don't look into, just because they're like, well, it's a running shoe and I'm not going to plan on running that much, so it'll be fine for now. And then in a week, they're like, well, why do my feet hurt? It might be because they are in the wrong shoe. And I mean, you look at local running stores do a free trial to have you, they'll look at your feet to tell you which shoe is correct for you. I know you did that at Runner's High when you were getting your running shoes. And I mean, that's what they're there for. They're there to help you make sure that you stay injury free, and they're putting you in the right shoe to keep you there.
Right. I think you're right. I think the sport lends itself to just throwing on a pair of Converse and heading out the door. And the problem with that is, it does get that reputation. I'm so glad you stopped and talked to those people, because I do think it comes in education, which is you do need to be in a specific shoe that's right for you. And that's one of the main things I tell people. That's why I send so many people to Runner's High, because I want them to get in the right shoe, and then how often you change it out. You know, you can't just get a pair of shoes and wear them for 10 years. And everything really does start from the feet up. And so if you've got issues starting from your feet, as we know as coaches, that goes to your knees, that goes to your hips. And now you've got aches and pains throughout the body. And then, of course, running is going to be blamed. But it's true. It's like, if you're a triathlete, you're not going to just go get a random bike. You're going to go to a bike shop. You're going to say what you're training for. You're going to get fitted to the bike. You're going to put the seat in the right place. And I think that really makes it clear. Would you just go get a random bike? No, you're going to get fitted. You have to do the same with running shoes, just like you would a triathlete on that bike. You really have to get fitted for the right shoe to make sure that your body's in the right position, and that you're not setting yourself up for injury and setting yourself up for failure, to where you go, well, I don't want to run anymore, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You bring up some really good points, Daniel. I took a lot of notes here on a lot of stuff you said. accountability, consistency of having a group or a coach with running, adapting. I think that that's huge. Running with a purpose. I think I'll even call this podcast that I say that a lot in training, train with a purpose. Don't just go out and like check the box that you ran, but run with purpose. And I know you wore a shirt the other day and I commented and I said, oh my God, I love that. And it said run with purpose. And, I think that's really the theme for today, which is, you can go out and just run. And sometimes that might feel really good. But if you really want to get better, if you want to stay injury free, if you really want to take running to another level, or you want it to be a part of your life, you really have to do it with purpose and get the right shoes and be consistent and have a plan in place. And, as much as we can just throw on a pair of Converse and head out and run, it's really not going to serve you the most.
I mean, I think your biggest thing with running, for me personally, is your shoes and what type of device you're using to time yourself, whether it's your phone or if it's a GPS watch. I mean, you look at a lot of people do the same loop repetitively. So if you look at, you say this loop from my house to the park and back takes me 24 minutes. You want to try to be consistent with that. Same thing if you do a workout, say you're doing a minute on, a minute off. You want to be able to go back and look at how long was I on for that minute? For the next minute, was it the same distance? Was it longer? Was it shorter? When did my body start to break down in those intervals? When did my mileage decrease? So I think a timing device or a GPS that shows you your distance and it shows you where you where your body was high and where you were consistently holding a pace, or where your body started to break down. So I think a lot of people do it off weights too. When they're like, well, I was up to deadlifting 200 pounds. Like they know when they're there. But I think with running, a lot of people don't keep track of that. They're like, well, I just went for 6 miles. I did 70 miles this week, so I'm gonna try to get 70 miles in. But how long did that take you to do that? Are you improving week by week? Was your body breaking down at 70 miles? Do you need to lower it to 60 to be able to maintain where your body is not breaking down and have to take days off? So I think timing is huge on what people, same thing is, and go along the same guidelines as accountability. You have to know that your body is going to break down when you get past a certain mileage. So if you know that when you're training or doing a workout, like at least going into the workout, this one's going to be my hard one, or this is when my body normally breaks down. So that it mentally going into it, where you need to push, where you need to recover to be able to push past that barrier.
Right. So in your training and in your coaching, do you do a lot of time trials?
Yes. So we do what I consider a threshold workout. So with that, I look at their times from previous workouts and I say, this is what you're capable of according to this workout. So we're going to go as long as you can at that pace. And then we're going to write it down. And then in 3 weeks, we're going to come back and do the same exact thing. And we're going to see if it's easier for you to get there, if we get past that. If we need to work the beginning, if your warm-up was different and it changed the way you raced. But for me personally, I love time trials. Goes along the same lines as people being more competitive than they are when they do a workout. So if you imitate that, if people know that, say we're doing a time trial every other month, then people have a goal to train for, rather than saying, oh, this workout's just to get me faster or to work on my breathing. You can go in and say, this is to help me with this part of my race in this time trial, or to get me past, to be able to run more than a mile from what I did last time.
Yes, and that's very much our theme at Hybrid House, which is why I love the coaching staff that we have there, because that's the same thing. I always say is, it's one thing to check off the box that you worked out, and that's great. I'm not saying that that's not great. You got up, you worked out, you got something done. That's absolutely an accomplishment. Then there's also another level, which is, did you check the box of working out in a certain way? Did you push today? Like, did you just work out, or did you have a goal in mind when you worked out? And again, I think it goes back to with purpose. So when you go to run club and there's a time trial, you're pushing as hard as you can to get the fastest mile you can. Or you could just show up and you could say, hey, everybody, run for 30 minutes. I'll see you in 30 minutes. No, you say, hey, everybody, you're going to do a time trial today. So there's working out and running, and then there's really doing it with a purpose. And I think that's really where we're set apart in our coaching and our philosophy, and really what we do at Hybrid House, which is that's where it's different. And it's not that one's bad, it's just where it's different. And so if you're somebody that wants to take your athletic ability to another level, or really train with purpose and have goals in mind, I'm training for a 5K, I want my mile to get faster, I'm training for a CrossFit competition. It gets very specific in how you have to train, and you really do have to train with purpose. You kind of can't just check the box anymore.
But I think that goes along the same lines as everybody has their own purpose. Like your purpose is different than my purpose. If somebody comes in and says, I just want to be active, which is great. I have no problem with that, as long as you know that's your goal and you're not saying, oh, these people are so much faster than me, but that's their goal. That's not your goal. Your goal is to be active, and that's what you need to keep your mindset in, no matter whether you're going to our gym or if you're saying you're going to meet with people to hike. If that's your goal, is to be active, then that's what you need to go into your mind saying, rather than saying, oh, all these people are too fast for me, so I shouldn't show up. So if you go in keeping, knowing what your purpose is for a sport or for a class or for anything. So I would just go along those lines of saying, what is your purpose for being here? Then that's what your goal needs to be.
I love that. So it's not only train with purpose, but it's train with your purpose, nobody else's. Doesn't matter what my purpose is, doesn't matter what your purpose is. And I think that really wraps it up nicely. So we'll probably end here, because that brings us back to the beginning when I said, hey, I have these people that want to come to Run Club. They want to coach. They want to be coached by Coach Daniel, but they're nervous. They're scared. They're intimidated. Well, if you can leave this podcast with anything, I think it's, if you can go into training and showing up to a run club and showing up to a class or a gym going, I have a purpose. It's my purpose. And I want you to help me with that, and not worrying about anybody else's goal or what they're training for, what their purpose is, but showing up with a purpose. That's really the key. So it's not what's the person next to you necessarily doing or why are they there, but why are you there? Are you just there to work out? Are you there because it was a scary thing and you're proud of yourself for showing up? Are you there because you want to be the next elite obstacle course racer? Are you there because, and Denise and I talked last week, Daniel, and I know you trained Denise and coached Denise, and so you know her personally as well, and you know her journey. We talked about standing on your own podium, and I think this really ties back in nicely to that, which is what we both encourage, which is, it's not about standing on a podium. It's not about the purpose. It's what is your purpose? What is your podium? And what are you going to do to get there? And how can we help you do that?
Absolutely. I mean, you look at, some people want to get faster in the mile. Some people want to be able to deadlift 400 pounds. Some people want to be able to do a box jump. I mean, as long as you know that's your goal, then that's what you need to work for. Whether it's in running or lifting or just in life in general, is saying, I need to be interact with people. And this gym is a great way to see people, to talk to people, and be out and be active, be motivated. So I think it's all about what's your purpose for in life, like even in general. If you want to just talk to people, I mean, you look at like people I've met at the gym, I never would have thought I would be obstacle racing, being a cross country or track athlete. So I mean, a gym is just like a family to a lot of people. Like, you literally grow close to them and they are your second family.
Right. And I think you bring up a good point of your journey personally, is you go in with a purpose, you go in with a goal, and we both encourage that, and we both really preach that. And we're both in agreement with that. And then I think also understanding that it's yours, and also it might change. You went to rut camp. You found a family. Like you said, gyms are especially small gyms. Their community, their social, their interaction, their family. I mean, it's so true. I think that's why people choose that, because of all of it. Really hits all of those boxes. And I think when you do become tight, and you do become and you do see people on a regular basis, also your purpose may change, your goal may change, because like you said, you came there, you got really close with people, and a lot of us were obstacle course racing. You're like, well, you know, I'm a long distance guy, or that's not my sport, but you got into it and your purpose kind of changed, and it can continue to change, right? Like it could be obstacle course racing right now, and then, well, right now it's to, you know, really work on my endurance, because I want to complete the biggest backpacking trip of my life. I mean, so I think it's just always having it, but knowing it can change, it can be altered. You know, the group you're with may change it, but always having it, I think, is important.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, I think we'll end there. It's been wonderful talking to you. I love the philosophies and the kind of the beliefs that we have that are so similar. And you really said some really encouraging, important things, I think, for anybody out there that's just looking for almost even community more than running. And I think that you really nailed it, that a run club is a social interaction. It's a way to see people, especially right now, because you can really do it from 6 feet away.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank you for being on. If there's anything you want to add, you know, feel free. And I just want to thank you for being on, and hopefully making people feel more comfortable in the sport of running, or even just in the idea that we can go out and meet with people and be active.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I know running is scary, but I mean, at the same time, everybody that's out on a bike path or at the park or running through the grass, I mean, they know what you're going through. They've been through it, whether it was starting or whether they're at their 10th mile. Like just seeing that interaction with people, you're like, oh, I know what they've gone through, or I'm not looking forward to going through that. But like that interaction with people is huge to a lot of people, like me personally, and with my kids in coaching, and even with my short time that I've done coaching at the gym, like just seeing people interact with people. They're like, oh, this person's up there. I want to get there. I see they show up every week. So I know if I can relate to that if I show up every week. So I think just a big thing is being able to interact with people, and you being out on the road, you see everybody. So so the more consistent you are, you see that, oh, this person's out here every day. This person's out here twice a week. This person's going this route. I wonder if they're still going the same way. I mean, even with everything that's going on now, I still run every morning. I see the same people every morning.
Yeah.
And every time I run by, they're like, hi, how's it going? And most of the time that's all that it is, because of we're going different paces and everything. But that interaction with people like can boost somebody to get to the next level, because they're like, oh, I don't feel great today. And then they get out there and that person's like, hey, how's it going? You're like, oh, somebody's out there with me. So I encourage anybody, just whether it's in run club or if it's just going to the park, like you can see people and interact with them, and you might not feel like, I don't want to run today, but you see people out there and they're running, you're like, oh, I can do that. So I encourage people to try stuff that you don't want to do, because you never know what could happen with it.
Yeah.
Me personally with OCR, who would have thought that a cross-country track athlete would be lifting stuff like a 450-pound tire.
Right.
So, I mean, you never know until you try it. So
yeah, that's true. You got to stay open. You know, I tell that to my son, who doesn't like to eat, you know, different foods. He likes to eat his 10 foods. And I'm like, how do you know until you try it? It's so true. Like, don't knock it. You haven't tried it. So,
Absolutely.
you know, although it might be scary, you know, that's also where the reward is. And I think you're right. It's like running can also mimic life. And so if you're doing it in running, you know, it's going to carry over into your job or the other things you talked about.
Yes. There's ups and downs in anything you do. So it's just being able to adapt to it and deal with whether it's a good day or a bad day or a good run or a bad run. It's just a part of the sport.
Right. Right. Knowing
So,
that, yeah. And being able to know that that's okay and that it's part
yeah,
of it. And that if you have a bad day, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Right. Or if it feels
absolutely.
hard one day, doesn't mean you should be like, oh, I'm not a runner. It's too hard. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go. I like that. Yeah. You've got to understand that it comes with that. That's why it
Mhm.
feels so good. All right, Daniel. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Absolutely.
It's been awesome talking to you, and I hope to see you. Well, I'll see you Wednesday morning because we have our
Yeah.
accountability and our running together. So enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you again. And hopefully some people reach out that have been a little bit intimidated, and hopefully this helps them show up.
Yes, definitely. Anytime anybody needs any advice or anything, feel free to reach out to me or to Timmy, and she can give you my contact information. So don't be scared of the sport.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach Daniel. I really appreciate it. You take care. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.